This game was awful. Good God, it was bad. Uh, the trailer on the Nintendo Direct was just completely terrible, and I figured that this game was going to be a train wreck. Not only that, but people were going to be drastically against it because you look at it and it's like, that's not Contra, that's not what we want. But this game actually is Contra, and it's literally the death of the franchise because this twin stick shooter piece of crap is so freaking bad, from the way it controls to the way it looks to it trying to steal bits and pieces from Contra 3, but it just doesn't fit at all. And then well, at least you could be a panda or whatever. That's the only damn reason to play this game. But it's just, where do you go? Where do you go? I can sit there and list the damn just quality of life features that are missing. Like on PC, there's no keyboard and mouse support. You're locked at 30 frames. There's like terrible input delay. Now I think the input delay, I know people were griping about on Switch, but I bet you it's like to every damn console. At least on PC, you could disable vertical sync to try to help you out. The controls, like for your guy, are terrible. You feel like you don't really aim at. If you feel like you suck at twin stick shooters, and I feel like I don't. I'm not super great, but I'm like sitting there. There'll just be just one guy, and I'm trying to shoot at him, and I'm missing his ass, and I need to hit auto aim to hit it. The freaking little beam gun you get just won't even use auto aim at all, and it's like just has this super slow turn. It just feels bad when you move and shoot at the same time. It slows your guy down, so it's like you're having to choose your offensively versus defensively, and the enemies will be overwhelming all up in your face, and they're like terrible bullet sponges. And the only way to get better against the enemies as they grow up in levels with you is to just get the biggest gun you can and just use exactly that. There's supposed to be like 100 guns in this game. I don't know where the hell they are, and the ones I got, they all suck. And so I ended up using this little crusher gun with like a 5 little shot away, so it gave me a area of effect damage and a big hit. But you fire 4 shots of it and you're on freaking cooldown. The cooldown feels terrible. I know the point of what they're trying to do is to get you to switch between the guns, but you have one gun that's clearly designated as a main gun, and your other one's a sub. And a lot of times your sub only gets a couple shots too. And so one theory I had was maybe I'll just shoot one into cooldown, switch the other one, shoot into cooldown. But what happens is, for some reason or another, I never did even figure out what it is that you'll just press the X button to switch your gun, and it does not do it. And then you have to take your finger off the thumbstick to press X, and then you put it back. And so you're doing that while you're dodging and shit. And what happens is, you're pressing buttons and nothing happens because you're on cooldown from the first gun that you wanted to switch from, and it did not switch, and it feels god awful. The boss is like, for each of the missions, they have this little gallery shooting mode. This gallery shooting mode is some of the worst feeling shit I've ever even played in a game. Like, the cursor doesn't respond very good while you're moving. And so what happens is you just kind of stand still, then aim, and then dodge back and forth, and then hopefully your cursor stays on the ball. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And then, God, this game sucks. It runs $40, which is just completely not worth. It's not worth playing for free because, and this is the most fundamental problem with this game, is it's stretched to ad nauseum, like way past what is respectable for a game. This game should have been 5 hours. It took me 20 something to beat, and that's mainly focusing in trying to stick it in the same guns, and just at the end of the game I was just trying to skip as many levels as I can. You could skip a little bit of levels, but when you have a game stretched out that far, when you're every few seconds of levels your gun becomes obsolete because the enemies are leveling up before you, it just does immense damage to like the progression or the feel of the game, because you feel like you suck all the time. And then there's a great variety of enemies in the game, but there's not enough enemies to stretch out for 20 dang hours, and so you're fighting the same thing over and over and over. And what you're doing in hour 1 is the same thing you're doing in hour 20, and it just feels like shit. It ended up, the best way I found out to progress was to just buy the body parts to give for hit points. You couldn't even, really don't even know what most of those damn side effects things do. It's like, what is a combo Is it just for score? Is it make my damage go up? I don't freaking know. And you just don't care. And so you just like bust up shields and hit points in life. That's all you want to do. And dear God. And this is kusoge. This is legendary shit kusoge. This is the death of this series. Now, one thing you might think is like, well, if it's like this bad of a game, if it's like the new Big Rigs or Ride to Hell, or if it's the new Spelunker, it's like, well, I should get this game and just, play through it for misery factor. But not even then. You don't even want to play it then because it's stretched for so long that it drastically overstays its welcome. And so the best way to play this, if you want some misery, would be just to download the demo. I think the PlayStation and Xbox, maybe the Switch, I'll have demos. Never ever buy this shit, or if you was to buy it, you buy a physical copy because for the shit value, you put it with your other shit games. It's just like you put it next to Akari Warriors. Don't play this. And one more thing that I didn't go through my playthroughs. You can't even play co-op the way you think you would play co-op in a Contra. You can't play co-op in the story modes at all because the camera's like zoomed in. They were so proud of that camera. That freaking camera is like your worst enemy because you're sitting there trying to find shit that could kill you in 1 or 2 hits, and you're shooting at it, and it's off freaking screen because it's in the foreground or it's left and right, and you can only see really shit that's in the background. And you'll have to fight ninjas and shit and stuff largely blind, or fight enemies that will just annihilate you while having a zillion hit points blind. And because stupid camera reasons or storyboard or whatever, they didn't even allow co-op in your regular part of the game. And so you're sitting there, it's like, why the fuck is this 30 frames? Why does this look so bad if you're not even allowed really to do co-op in the game? The only way you could do co-op is to do the exploration missions, which are kind of like Diablo 3 Greater Rifts. Those were... There's a decent amount of fun. You have some fun as you're getting shit and getting better. But the way I would describe it is, it's like a hamster wheel. And you're the hamster on the wheel, and you're running. And while you're running, you feel like you're having fun. But what you really realize, you sit back and look at it, you're not going nowhere. You're running in circles. You're spinning around. And there's games like Destiny and Diablo that are mainly just hamster wheel games. They work fine because they're fun from at the core perspective, they're fun. But if you've got a shit game and you're just hiding it with a progression system that you stole from EDF, then you're going to look at some misery because you're going to realize you're on that hamster wheel and you're going to be pissed off. And I beat it because any game I buy, I beat. And that's basically my only damn defense for me playing it this long. It's not worth playing it at all. So stay far away. Kitty, paws down. Brian, he was thinking about raising the paw like maybe at half staff or whatever, half mast, kind of, sort of. But then he realized the only reason he was going to do that was because he was playing the panda. So, Brian, you just get over your freaking panda damn fetish, all right? Don't play this game.